Hey, welcome to my dad's farm. As you can see, there is absolutely no feed here whatsoever. These bulls behind me are our main breeding bulls, and these are all been bought in. They're all stud bulls. We've got some Angus and some Shorthorn bulls, which are the main two breeds that we use to cross over our Shorthorn cows. And as you can see, they're in the worst conditions they possibly can be in, and we're feeding them here to try and get them up into good enough condition to be able to put back with the cows. At the moment they're separated from the cows because you can't breed during a drought because there's too much pressure on the bull to perform and also on the cow to produce a baby. She's only got enough energy to feed herself. She can't feed herself and her baby, so they're all separated at the moment. And that feed over there is silage, and we're going to go and have a look at a little bit later about where the silage comes from and what goes into that silage. As you can see, there's no grass whatsoever anywhere. It is just pure dirt, and this has never happened at all anywhere in my lifetime. And since we've been here in Queensland, there's been absolutely no condition that's anything like this at all. We did have surface water here, so that's all, from rain and runoff into the dams, but most of the dams now are empty, and luckily we've been able to dig those dams a lot deeper, and so the next time the drought comes, hopefully there'll be a lot more water in there and they'll be a lot deeper to be able to survive a drought if ever we have another one like this. So what we've done is we've piped water to every single paddock, and we've put troughs along, so it's water from deep down. It comes up from about 1 kilometre to about 300 metres where we pump it from. We pump it to all these troughs which are now throughout the farm. And that way the cattle have at least got something to drink, but now there's absolutely no grass whatsoever anywhere, so we have to feed them 100% of the stuff as well. There's a bore straight over there where that windmill is, and that's where the water comes from, and that's pumped right throughout the entire farm, and used to be run on that windmill, so we used to be very sustainably efficient when it came to using power, but because the cattle now are drinking completely off the bores, we have to pump a lot more often, and therefore we need a diesel pump there, and we can't rely on wind power because wind power isn't constant, so you have to have control over it, and that's why we put a diesel pump on there. This here's the silage that the cattle are eating, and that was put down when we had some really good wet years, probably about 6 years ago, and it's kind of like putting wine away. It's like hay. It's just finely chopped hay, and this here's sugar drip, or a sorghum derivative, and you put that deep down underneath the ground where it's tight away from air, and then that way it stays there and can be fed off when you have a drought like we have now, and it's free from air, so it lasts just like wine, and it smells like wine as well. And when you first get cattle onto it, they kind of get a little bit tipsy. These are the bulls that we were looking at before. As you can see, there's no meat on them at all. Usually when you've got a bull, he should be really big and muscly with a hump on his shoulders, but these guys have got nothing in them at all. They look like they're really old, but these guys are all brand new, and they're between 2 and 3 years of age. They're young, they're meant to be in their absolute prime, but there's no meat on them at all. Right down the end is where the silage pit is, and in that silage pit is where we're going to go and we'll see where the silage is stored and has been stored for about five or more years. As you can see, there's no feed at all, any direction that you look. So this is what we're feeding the cattle here on, and that's the silage. So it's got everything in there. It's got leaves, it's got stalks, and it's also got a lot of the sugar drip seed as well. And this is what happens. It gets put underground, and this can last for forever. As long as no air gets to it whatsoever, just like wine, it can stay there. So in maybe 2,000 years, if this is covered up completely, if we don't have another drought for 2,000 years, my great-great-great-great-great-grandson might be able to use it. So what happens is you dig a massive big hole, you put all the silage in, you compact it down each time that you go, and then you cover it with plastic, this black plastic that you can see, and on top of that goes all the excess dirt that you use from the hole to pack it right down and keep it locked tight away from air and away from any enzymes that'll break it down, and therefore it'll be there ready to be used every drought that we have. As you can see, there's not much left at all. We're about 4/5 through this heap, and there's only one more bunker to go. But this here is equivalent to that entire paddock behind us, which is 1,000 acres of crop that was cut up into silage and then put in this tip here. So what happens is, in order to feed this out, we have that big front end loader over there which scoops it all out and puts it inside this mixer truck here, and that feed truck goes out to the trough that we were at before, and another 20 troughs that are situated throughout the farm, and feed all the cattle exactly a certain amount that they need to sustain them. It doesn't fatten them by any means, it just keeps them alive until it one day will rain, and hopefully all these paddocks that you see here will be under a foot of grass, which is what we normally have, is about this much of different species of grass and often, you know, a crop depending on which time of year it is. But at the moment there is absolutely nothing except what's in this pit for this entire property.